Hello. Well, welcome to my, what I call anyways, Radiant Wrap. I'm so glad to be here today again. Let me close this door because it makes me feel like, okay, I'm back. It makes me feel like there is an echo. Uh, what a crazy afternoon. You know how you just have some of those days? Well, I was on a call and all I wanted to do was make a little payment, a transaction. And I was on a call with a business partner and we really were excited about what we're doing. And I was just finishing it up the call, and it required a payment. So this is going to be real quick. And of course, you know how those things go. Real quick turn into, okay, it's not processing. And then let me call my bank, because we all appreciate, with all the fraud, right? Our bank's protecting us. So I call my bank and they're like, no, that's not us. We're not doing that. And then I call the company that I'm trying to purchase from. We're on hold forever and ever. So it's like, and it's all good, because it's all about perspective, right? And we talked about that last week. And that conversation last week got me fired up, because we were talking about faith to do what it is that we say that we want to do. And somebody's giving me some love. Thank you so much. I wonder who it is. I'm like, say hi to me so I'll know. Okay, because I think I should be able to see your comments. But anyways, we talked about faith last week, and it's just been on my mind a lot, and it's been coming up a lot. And I thought of it in terms of our imagination, because actually where our mind goes, our energy flows. I think that's a book. I don't know whose quote that was originally, but it's so true. Yes, please say hi to me, make a comment. Oh, it's Pat. Hi, Pat. Hi, honey. How are you? You won a challenge last week, so I owe you, and I got your address, so I owe you a gift from last week. So always good to see you. Didn't see you in class this week, but I know I will see you soon. And so I'm glad you're here. Last week when we were talking about faith, it made me think about how our imagination can fuel fitness. So over the years, I've read a lot of studies about it, right? That how actually mentally rehearsing can give us results that we want. Like, for example, one study, and they all show how the mind is so incredibly powerful. It's just the human body is amazing. I could go on and on and on about just the human body and the mind. It's incredible. Okay, so in one study, there was a group of maids, like housekeepers. And this group of maids, it was in Texas. And they took they divided them in half. One group, they asked them all, first of all, do you work out? And they said no, right? And so they took half the group and told them, okay, well, you might not think you work out, but you know how when you're vacuuming and you're flipping those mattresses and you're changing bed sheets and you're emptying trash cans, well, you're actually using muscles and joints, and you're bending and you're squatting and you're reaching and you're doing a lot of things that enable you to be strong, right, and fit. The other group, they didn't tell that. Okay, so the group that they told these things were in one hotel, and then the group that they didn't tell were separate. They didn't do anything else different. Nothing else did they do different, just giving them that half the group that information. In a couple of weeks, I think it was like a month, I'm forgetting exactly how much time had passed, they took, and they had already taken initial assessments, like a health assessment. And at the end, they took another health assessment. Well, the group that they had told were gaining these benefits from the type of work that they do, their overall wellness, they all felt better. They were stronger, they were more fit, their blood pressures were down, they had lost weight, they had lost inches. Yes, Diane, the mind is so amazing, incredible. And the group that they did not tell that information, that weren't aware of the benefits, they had not changed at all. And they didn't change anything else, not their diet, nothing else, just inform them. Okay. Another study I read about was some individuals that were, they didn't know how to play the piano, and they were given this little piece to learn to play with one hand. Practice 2 hours, one hand, 5 days. Okay. 2 hours a day for 5 days. At the end, and then the other half of the group, so one group physically practicing, the other group, they just told them what the finger patterns were. And they practiced 2 hours a day as well, mental practice. Well, at the end of that study, 5 days, they did a reading of their, like a scan of their brain. And both groups had the same patterns, neurological connections, new ones. Both of them, it's the same. And the group that never touched the keys, most of them could play very well, fairly well, just like the other group who could play fairly well after only 5 days. Okay, let me give you one more example. I know it's amazing, right, Diane? One more example of a group that within fitness. Okay, there was a study done, and these are all at reputable universities and hospital universities. Another study, I think this one was done in Chicago. They had a group, and this was a longer study. It was like 6 weeks, but 5 days a week, just like 5 minutes. They had a group flex their bicep muscle as hard as they could, right? They took another group and they told that group to imagine that they had like a movie, so that they were in the movie and that they were doing this flexing in the movie, right? So they were to imagine that they were in the movie and doing this. And then a third group, not thinking that they were in a movie doing it, they were actually told to imagine they were doing it right then, right there. Okay? The group, and then they had another group that did nothing, right? The group that was like imagining that they were in a movie and that they were flexing this muscle, they didn't have any benefits. But the group that was imagining that they were at that moment, every day, 5 minutes, 5 days a week for 6 weeks, flexing the muscles, showed over 10% improvement, strength, and a muscle in that bicep. Over 10%, I think it was like 13% improvement, which lasted for 3 months. And they weren't flexing the muscle, they were imagining. Another study even went as far as putting the arm in a cast, so that they couldn't, even if they wanted to, flex the muscle. And they still got improvements by thinking of doing it. And that's why I always tell, especially like if people that have an addiction, even if you're in the middle of the addiction, you're in the middle of getting high, you're in the middle of drinking, still imagine that you are not doing it, right? And always I say, and give thanks that you're no longer doing it. And I mean, that's some of the things that I've used for, strongholds that, I've wanted to get rid of. Now, I'm telling you, it's a blessing by God. So make no mistake about that. In my belief, it is. But this, in my belief, can help you to get there. When I was in 1999, when I started running, and I mean, I couldn't run from one light post to the next. Could not. Little teeny run, let alone, full out stride. I could not, but I wanted to run in this 10K, and I was in Boston at the time. And I recently put on that shirt from that. That was my first 10K. And in Boston, that was my very first 10K. And I ran, and from light post to light post, but it was my belief that I could do it that initiated that. Now, honey, when I did that, there was not one part of my being that wanted to run a marathon, which is 26 miles. I did not have a desire to do that. Okay. But I did a bunch of 5Ks, 2000, all the way up to like 2008. I started, me and my friend Doc, we did a lot, of 5Ks, 10Ks, 8Ks. Then it started progressing, 15K, right? Then it was like a half a marathon. We're going to run 13 miles. So I did that. And once I got to that 13, I'm like, you know what? Before I turn 50, now I have a before I turn 60 goal. I'm not telling you what that is today. I'll tell you that another time. But before I turn 50, I said, I want to run a marathon. So I think it was 2000, it was 2010. So I was in Tampa, and it was the last year that Gasparilla was going to have a full marathon here in Tampa. They only have halves. 2010 was the last full marathon that they did. And I said, I want to do that one. And I just imagined myself. But I'm telling you, in 2000, I didn't want to. I could not even imagine that I could do it. But the belief that I could, and then I backed it up with some, practice. I got out there and started practicing, but it was the belief that came first, right? That I could do it. That led to me in 2010, before I turned 50, I was 48. I ran 26.2 miles. Woo-hoo! Yeah, that was something else. And thank God, it was so much training. It was a lot of work, but I stayed healthy the whole time. It was, it was really, I felt really blessed. It was an accomplishment, not something that everybody would want to do, but it was something that I wanted to do. And I accomplished that. Well, let me share with you this, my friend. Every day when you wake up in the morning and you think about the relationship with the person that, has gone wrong, the one that did you wrong, or the audacity of that coworker, and how you got to get out in that traffic and all those bills you got to pay. And oh my God, all these emails and you, my friend, are mentally rehearsing. Your feet haven't even hit the floor, and you're already in your mind going through the dreading of the day. So in the same way that you practice or mentally rehearse this, and it affects, when we do that, I mean, I've been guilty of that. I have to work at not, doing those things. When you do that, it affects you. It affects you physically, physiologically. It affects you mentally. It affects you emotionally, right? You release hormones in your body, right? That any of the fear, guilt, shame, all of that, anger, all of that, unforgiveness, all of that releases cortisol and other hormones that set a tone or an environment for toxicity. Okay? In the same way that we can mentally rehearse all of that, we can change it around and changing our perspective. about the opportunities and the unknown. And even when we don't know, sometimes how it's going to manifest, you know, where that promotion is going to come from, how we're going to, you know, get the business to work out. Some things are falling away for a reason. First of all, some things are it's a blessing. So we have to mentally, and it takes practice. So let me give you a couple of suggestions, recommendations. Number one, write down specifically what you would like to accomplish. Write it down, okay? And be specific. And that was confirmed. I was the same person I was on the phone with, my business partner, Joseph, and we were talking about something that I'm working on, and he says, and not even knowing what I was going to be talking about tonight, not even knowing anything else, he says, you know, it's really important that you write that down specifically. And he said the words that I was going to yell. I was thinking, I just chuckled because I love how God does stuff like that. But write down specifically what it is that you would like to accomplish. And then spend each day envisioning at least a few moments, seeing it, feeling it, seeing it, feeling it, spend some time, okay? And not just necessarily on that specific thing, but starting to just change your whole way of thinking, you know, of imagine forgiving that person. Whoo! That would free up some stuff. I said that in my gratitude today. Imagine, you know, because I'm so glad I don't have, like, I'm not mad at nobody. Let's just wait. I don't hate anybody. It's just, so heavy. And at least, I mean, because I got issues just like everybody else, but that's not one of them. Thank God, right? And so the number three. So number one, write it down. Number two, spend time envisioning whatever that is happening. I'm not talking about with your senses, what you see. I'm not talking about what you hear, what you see. I'm saying this is coming from inside, right? It hasn't manifested yet. So it may not look like that, right? And you might not, there are some people you might be able to share it with. There's some other people you're not going to be able to share it with because they're going to try to talk you out of it because you sound crazy talking that stuff, you know? I mean, there are people that if I had said in 2000 I was going to run a marathon, I'd be like, yeah, right, you know? And even, I mean, I'm telling you, I was around people that when I smoked and I wanted to quit, I've never known anyone to quit. There were people that I was around. Now, how about that? Because now God has used me to be a witness for them. They know somebody now that has. Okay. You know, so you gotta stay with. So that would be number three is guard whatever it is, guard it. Don't just go around sharing it with everybody. Don't get in an argument with the naysayers and all. Hold it close. You and God, maybe. Hold it close. And then number four, you practice it, okay? Practice it. So, yes, you mentally rehearse it. You might not be at a point where you can really, but take whatever little steps because it's not about perfection, right? It's about what? It's about progress. Are you feeling me? Am I making sense? Does that make sense? Okay, number five, the last one. Express gratitude before it even happens. Like be thankful for before it even happens. Expressing gratitude, those type of emotions, just like, you know, fear, shame, doubt, guilt, all of that can release the cortisol and the hormones of your body that bring toxicity. More elevated emotions like gratitude and love, you know, will give and release endorphins and emotions that are healing. uplifting, inspiring. Okay. And so, and that can help you to achieve your goals. Number one, write it down. Number two, envision it. Number three, hold it close. Hold it close. Number four, do what you can a little bit every day to go a little bit toward the goal. Even if it's every day, just claiming it and just envision it. Go back to number three. And then number five, express gratitude for it even happen before it even happens. Even if it don't look like it, if it's going to happen. So I just, from last week when we talked about faith, this was on my heart to share today. Listen, I love you. There's not anything you can do about it. You have greatness inside of you. I believe in you. You are a masterpiece. You hear me? You are, yeah, we're a work in progress. God knows I'm a work in progress, but we're also a masterpiece. You, my friend, you were meant to shine. You hear me? You heard me? All right. Thank you for coming out, hanging out with me. And if you're watching this now, or if you're watching it on the replay, share what your thoughts are. Share what it is that you would like to share. Oh, I love you too, Diane. I'm really proud of you too. Super proud of you. Share what it is that you would like to share. I appreciate you. I adore you. You have greatness inside of you. Peace. Have a good one. Till next time.